I have this set. My external drive is the directory for my recording, so my computer doesn't explode. I bought a laptop cooler today, and it's like too big for that weird laptop stand I have. Why are you shaking your head?
You have all of these shitty laptop problems.
Just because, well, okay, like I finally decided that the PC is just a piece of shit, so I'm going to sell it. And then Amazon's like, we'll give you $225 for it. It's not terrible. It's just like I bought a floor model PC when it was like about to stop being made. So I don't know. I haven't really thought about it since I got that offer. And like, I'm not going to, if I get that stimulus check, I'm just going to buy an iPad.
Stimmy, stimmy.
Mm-hmm. Give me Stimmy for real. I guess we should say we're back after a whole month off for vacation. We're sticking with it. Vroomy temp is
Not
back.
hot, not cool.
Not hot, not cool. It's room temperature. You know what is cool? Reliving terrible memories from the your childhood.
That's true. I love that. I love reliving horrible memories.
Do you remember Digimon?
Mm.
I bought some Digimons because I
You
saw
bought, why
them.
did you do this?
Saw them on Amazon.
Are those the ones that connect together?
Yeah, and you can battle.
I always wanted those, and my mother would never get them for me.
Dude, I'll buy you one. I'm gonna buy you one right now.
Don't do that.
They're honestly they're the 20th anniversary edition
Oh,
because I think Bandai like realized Bandai makes Digimon, and I think they realized that all this like nostalgia bait was really getting the like millennials and the Zoomers moist. Like with the Sony PlayStation reboot. Take this fucking off. It's hot in here. With the Sony Classic or whatever, the NES Classic, and like all that shit, like nostalgia bait. And I was just browsing on Amazon. They were just like recommended based on your blah blah Digimon 20th anniversary, and I'm like, what? I loved these when I was a kid. I loved Digimon so much. I loved them like longer than anybody else did. And to the point where every toy store was like sold out of them in like the year 1999 because like they were the fad was over, so they just like weren't getting shipments anymore. Nobody else wanted them, but I really wanted them. So my mom called Bandai hotline direct and was like, do you know where I can find any of these? And they were like, well, we stopped shipping them because they stopped selling, but we have a bunch in the warehouse. And she was like, can I buy some? And we got like a box full of like Digimons. She was like, the only ones we have are like the brown and the blue one left. And like, okay, yeah. Like I was able to like just sort of keep collecting. And then I found eBay and I started buying the ones that never came over to the United States. And they're so expensive. They kind of just never stopped making them in Japan. It's weird. They make like pedometer Digimons and they make like smartwatch Digimons now. And it's like, okay, I'm not gonna buy those. But like the ones from when I was a kid are pretty fucking cool. And they're only like $15 a pop. So
can you get Apple Watch Digimons?
that maybe. I don't know. There's like I saw there was like a Tamagotchi AR app. I kind of liked Tamagotchi when I was a kid. I wasn't like super into Tamagotchis. That was like I remember the craze, but like Digimon was like like it's so like just looking at the box and like the marketing material, it's like this is just for boys, It's like one of those like
It's me, boy.
it's me, American male, aged 8 to 15. It's probably not even the right demographic. It's probably the ages like 6 to 12. And yeah, it's a weird little thing. It's like crazy to like look at these things and like remember virtual pets and just be like, oh my god, this used to be such a fucking like thing. Like everybody, this is like so big in like 1998.
The past.
The past, yeah. But it's a fun little collectible and it's a fun little thing to do in quarantine when I'm not building Gundam models.
Yeah. Why aren't you building a 30-year-old Econo box?
So actually, that's probably a good segue into this. I've been thinking a lot since I got back from my little road trip to Austin. That was one thing I did over our Vroomy temp hit the break for 1 month. I went to Austin. I saw your CRX in person. I drove it. It was a nightmare, but it was a lot of fun. And I would finally like to get a project car. And what sealed the deal was building that master grade RX 93 new Gundam that you thought was a Sandrock. And I was just like, man, if I can build this like in my sleep, then I can probably like handle the nightmare of a project car. It'd be really, really hard, but I know I could handle it.
Yeah, just get something with a straight body and a mostly there interior, because in my experience, interior pieces don't exist for any money. Like you can go on eBay and say, I have unlimited money. I would like the rear hatch cover in blue, please.
And
And eBay will say, okay, great.
then just
No,
spray paint it. No.
no, you can't have one. There are no more. We are out.
I,
Like,
I'm not above like just buying mismatched colored panels or parts for car, and then just whatever, and then
yeah.
eventually one day taking it to a, like when it's everything's done, and I'm just gonna take it to Mako and they're just gonna like paint it. Because who cares? I mean, like if it's a project car, it should look like whatever you want it to look like. I'm not gonna like this thing. I'm never gonna be able to like restore a 190E unless I'm like a fucking like millionaire Mercedes nerd. And like as cool as they are, no, that's like you're asking me to buy like a 30-year-old essentially like C-class Mercedes with like a Cosworth engine that's built in like the UK and then know everything about it and all the special screws. No, I don't want to do that. I want something to fuck around with in my driveway. And I
Like
think I know what I want. I think
a
no,
Honda.
right now I want a Nissan Z.
Like a Z32,
What's the one they make right now? That's the one.
370Z.
Yeah. Just like one from like 2009. Because you can find them. They're like 8 grand. They've got like 40,000 miles on their Nissans. You can find them unmodified. I couldn't believe it. Like you go on like Craigslist and shit. You can find unmodified 12-year-old Nissan Zs with like 40,000 miles on them. And they're like 12,000,
It
fifteen
can't be a
thousand dollars.
project car if you can buy one on a showroom floor.
Well, yes. See, that's the benefit of the Z is like you can still technically buy a brand new one for like $50,000, or you can get the exact same car from 12 years ago because it's still on sale and it is a 12-year-old project car. And there's still like support. You can go and buy parts if you really wanted to, but you also just go to eBay and find parts. But the
What about the
reason the Z is so
Z350?
tempting is because even the 350 is tempting because the Z is the middle ground between the two kind of cars that I really, really love, the Miata and the Mustang. Mustang is awesome because you get like a V8 rear wheel drive, but it's big and it's heavy and it's a pony car. It's not really like that much fun. It's kind of like a poor man's M3. The Miata is, well, we don't, there's nothing I can say about the Miata that hasn't already been said. It's a great car, but it's like way too goddamn small for me. I mean, like I'm a big guy, and like sitting in the Miata just has always been like nerve wracking to me. The Z is like right in the middle. It's like it's small enough to be a sports car. It's not too big to be like heavy. It's not a great car, but you can make it a great car.
This just sounds like a compromise, and I don't think you should do this.
This is a compromise from what?
I don't know. It sounds like my CRZ, where you wrote down the things you want, and then you tried to find the car closest to those things, and you don't really have an emotional connection to it.
I mean, I like the way they look a lot. Well, I like the 350 a lot more than the 370. 370 is a little too Godzilla funky. The
Yeah.
350 is like, you know, it's got that like before headlights had to be angry. It's the same fucking car. It's just like old.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about the engine. I know it's the same engine they put in the fucking G35 coupe and the G37 coupe. I know it's a Nissan, so it's probably fine. It's not a Toyota. So I like it.
Okay.
I don't know what else I would get too. I mean, like, I would also really like to get a fucking. This is a perfect time to like share my screen. What is it? 300ZX. Share screen. I forgot to click this
Those
button.
are those are horrible. They are beautiful, beautiful cars. Z32 300ZX.
Z32 300ZX.
Yeah, because there's those cars. Because the Z31s are the older ones that were branded Nissan Datsun.
Yeah, I like the older ones too, but like after reading on like r/Nissan problems or whatever that board was called, it's like I can't afford that kind of project car. That's a money pit
And
to
you can't
me.
afford this either. The
Yeah, this is what I really want. But yeah, this is almost as big of a problem as like an RX-7.
right.
And it's hilariously inefficient.
Google Z32 engine bay.
Maybe. Oh,
All of that space you don't have.
that's very erotic.
Well, no, I mean, but really though, look at how tight everything is.
Yeah, it's a Nissan from the 90s. This is what they used to do. They used to just cram, they used to shoehorn everything in there, and they were like as every drop of power. It's efficient looking on the outside, but I'm sure it's a nightmare to work on. This is beyond me. This is not a beginner's project car. I've never had a project car
You know what?
before.
You know what does have a lot of room in the engine bay? You should Google search S2000 engine bay.
No, we've all seen that.
It knows. It knows. Look at how much room for activities there is.
You want to see room for activities? Engine bay.
Engine bay. Oh, plastic.
Yeah, that's not stock. I love this. It's hard to get the angle right, but like there's so much room between this fan and this block there. You can like see straight down to the floor. You could drop like an entire like phone book. For those of you who don't know, phone book is like Google on paper, but only for phone numbers. You could drop an entire phone book between there because that engine bay was only designed to have a V8. And at the last second, they're like, we gotta have a V6 option so the poor people can have Jeeps. My brother had this car and it was hilarious how much like noise would come through the engine bay just because there was no insulation. There was like
That
nothing.
won't scroll up. Up, left. Is that a
Yes.
straight six?
No, that's the Hemi, 6.4 liter Hemi.
Oh,
That'd be cool. Straight six. We were talking about Z's with my dad, and he was just like, the straight six was the engine that like my generation considered a Prius. Like if you had a straight six, you had like the fuel efficient vehicle. It was like the most incredible thing. He loved it. He had a 200 ZX Dachshund,
280ZX.
280. No, he had like
240, 260, 280.
280 ZX.
The
Maybe that was it.
280ZX was longer and was the luxury version of the 280Z.
He said, yeah, he had this, and the dealer installed these like bubbles over the headlights because he said he thought that looked way better. Because what he wanted was a Ferrari Dino, and he didn't have any money.
I've always thought the 280ZX looked like shit. I've always thought the 280Z looked way better.
Uh,
Just lop off that X.
oh yeah, the like sexy one. Yeah, I worked with a guy at my first job. His name was Adam. He was like an older dude. He like posts mad like pro Trump conspiracy theories on Facebook nowadays, but he has this car in bright orange with a fire extinguisher on the A pillar of the passenger seat, like bolted in. He would drive it on Saturdays.
I told you about the guy at the dealership, right? When I was registering the CRX.
Maybe, but it would sure make for a good podcast story.
So when I went back in to register the CRX, the guy the next booth over was having a hell of a time trying to convince this lady that his 280ZX was a real car because he insisted on calling it a Datsun 280ZX. No, there was just the 280ZX. It was just 240Z and just 260Z. And the 260Z doesn't really exist because the 2.6 was so unreliable that they immediately went back to, or they immediately came out with the 280Z. So there's only like 2 years of 260Zs, and they're all shit.
What
Anyway, so
yeah.
the kid he was like, no, it's a Datsun 280Z or whatever. And she's like, okay, well, Datsun isn't an option on this list. So what is it? And he said, well, it's a Datsun. I said, okay. Um, and like she knows, and it's clear that she knows enough to know the answer is Nissan, but she can't tell the kid what kind of car it is. And so finally she coaxes out of him that, okay, well, it's a Datsun Nissan 286. Oh, okay, great. What color is it? And he said that it was like bright copper mica. She said, okay, well, that's not on this drop down. What color is it? Copper. No, it's not.
Brown. Just say brown,
It's
bro.
beige. It's still not beige. How about brown? Yeah, it's okay. It's brown. By that time, was trying very hard not to laugh in his face, and um, luckily I was done because the lady asked me what color my car was, and I said it's blue, and so I got to leave.
This was when you were buying your CRZ.
No, this is when I was at the Texas DMV registering the CRX,
Oh,
and she
DMV. I thought you
said,
said dealership. I'm like, what
"No,
fucking
no,
dealership?
no, no." And she said, "What kind of car is it?" And I said, "It's a Honda CRX." She said, "I don't see that. Is Civic on there?" Yes, it is. Great, it's a Civic. Let's move on.
The Nissan guys are like Porsche guys.
Yeah.
They like know everything about their special little car and all the color codes and all the engine codes. But no matter how many codes and how much jargon you like throw in people's faces, they're never gonna think you're a Porsche guy.
No,
But
it's
I
a
think
shitty old
Nissans are
Nissan.
cool. Porsches are cool.
Nissans are not cool.
They used to be cool.
They used to be cool.
Everything used to be cool. The only Japanese company right now making good sports cars is Honda.
Hell yeah.
I mean, they are. I mean, like the Honda Civic Si and the Honda Civic Type R are the best two Japanese sports cars on the road. Second being like the Toyobaru triplets, twins. Those are rear wheel drive, but they're like gatekeeping the price on those fucking cars now. The new one is going to be like $33,000 or some shit, and they're putting like leather seats in it and stuff, and like an upgraded sound system. It's like that's not what that car's supposed to be about. It's supposed to be cheap and fun. It's not supposed to be a Mustang or Camaro SS. What was the Nissan Z from the 80s? The one that looked like a pencil eraser.
The 300DX. Z31
No,
300DX.
the Z31 is what you said.
Z30. Yeah, search Z31.
Yeah, I love the way these cars look. Not as much as the Z32, but they just have this like fuck you, it's 1984 look to them, and I love that. Kind of looks like an IROC Camaro from the side.
It looks extremely like that.
Yeah, it's real. I
I
love 80s stuff. That oof,
80s.
that oh, that would do well at Radwood. It has that like skew morphed fucking like intakes. I don't even know if they're real. This was like the car you drove if you moonlighted as like a bartender at a strip club. And to this day,
That
probably still is. That or like the C4 Corvette, like this or the C4 Corvette. Ugh, I love it. But I hear these are the biggest pieces of shit in the world.
Yeah, I've only known like two people with them, and both of those were um, just awful, awful, miserable hunks of shit.
Yeah, I mean, like if you really wanted an awful, miserable hunk of shit that it has a Nissan badge on it, why didn't you just buy a 240 SX?
If you want a miserable hunk of shit from the '80s, why don't you buy a Mitsubishi Starion?
You mean an Eagle Talon?
No.
What's this? Oh, the Starion. Yeah, that was on Top Gear. Starion? Starion?
Nope.
No, it's not
Nope.
that.
There's a no. It's a
Yes.
no. Starion.
Mitsubishi. Mitsubishi stands for Mr. Bishi. Oh yeah, the car that just completely ripped off the 944. Yeah. These were hugely popular in Europe. They were not very big over here.
The car in Blair Witch Project is one of these.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I've never seen the Blair Witch Project.
Either how have I seen the Blair Witch Project and you haven't?
That's a very good question because you've never seen any movies. There was a movie the other day, and I was like, "Has Brandon seen this?" Oh, Pacific Rim. You've seen Pacific Rim, right?
Hell yeah, I saw Pacific Rim.
Okay, good, good.
Hell
I
yeah.
sent you that trailer. That's right. They're making an
I
anime.
saw Pacific Rim in the fucking theater, dude. That
Me
movie
too.
rules.
I love Pacific Rim. I never saw the sequel. I don't think I ever will.
No, no, I very intentionally stayed away from the second one because they
Just
didn't need to make a second one. I left the theater for Pacific Rim 1 going, oh my God, I wish this movie was like 4 hours long, but I
yeah,
don't want a
or I
second.
wish I just want more of that.
Yeah, I don't want a second movie. I want like a 4 hour Lord of the Rings cut of Pacific Rim 1 where there's just like more robots fighting more monsters. Or like a Pacific Rim TV show. I don't want a fucking second movie.
We're getting that though. We're getting Pacific Rim Black.
That's pretty good.
I hope it's a Netflix anime. And to be quite
Heard-
honest, there's only been one Netflix anime I really fuck with, and it's been Castlevania. And even that, I'm like, yeah, it's good. It's not like amazing.
Remember when they killed our boy Ghost in the Shell?
Yeah.
And shot him.
Dude, have you watched any of that show?
I tried watching the first episode. It is so bad.
Did you see the episode with the naked guy walking backwards up the stairs?
I
Oh my
saw
god.
I
I have
saw
to
15
fucking
minutes of the first episode and couldn't believe what they'd done to my boy.
oh my god. What is it called? It's called
Ghost in the Go Fuck Yourself.
Ghost in the Shell. It's is it still standalone complex? It's like the SAC 2045. Okay. SAC 2045. I have naked guy. God, I don't even care if I get copyright. Thanks to this. Oh Christ. This dude. This is in the show. This is like an actual clip of the show. I'm gonna start it over.
It looks so bad.
It looks so bad. That guy was also a terrible character. I stopped watching when they like had to get rid of him halfway through. But look, this guy is just like walking and backflipping backwards up the stairs.
It's so bad.
And the
Like
plot didn't make any goddamn sense. And they totally just got what's her name? The main character. What do they call her?
Major
Major.
Mosako.
Major Kutsunagi. They just got her completely wrong. And they got Bato wrong too. Bato was my best. This fucking guy, he's an American. He like just does all the American stereotypes. And then like halfway through the show, he fucking he just is like, well, I gotta disappear now. And he literally runs off into the Hollywood sign. Like they're in LA and he runs off into the Hollywood sign. It was unbelievable. I gave up. I stopped watching after that.
I stopped watching after the first 15 minutes of the first episode because it's not good.
It was so bad.
The
I've
Ghost
been
in the
watching
Shell.
anime has definitely been very good lately. Like, but that was just inexcusably poor.
Do me a favor. Make me a Google for Dodge Starion. What was the Dodge called?
I thought the Dodge was the Eagle.
No.
I'm pretty sure it was because you remember the company Eagle, right?
Yeah, Eagle. There's the Eagle Talon, and that's the Eclipse.
I thought there was a Starion. I love the
I hate the way you Google it. It's excruciating.
what should I write? Dodge Starion?
Dodge.
Dodge. I'm not sorry. Got a bunch of black and white newspaper pics.
I
Debauch. God damn it.
search instead for Dodge Starion. Search instead for Dodge Starion.
Search what?
It thinks you mistyped it. I guess click on the Wikipedia page and that will tell me what I want to know.
Yep.
No, you had it.
Right here.
Nope. No, god damn it. No, because now you're searching for station again. Go back to the image searches.
How did this happen?
Because it thinks you mistyped station. But just click on that. Conquest, that's what it was.
Conquest, Dodge Conquest. Um, I love that season one regular car reviews, like one of his, he's like fourth video he does on the Jeep Grand Cherokee. And he talks about how
We need to get a quarter jar for you and the Jeep Grand Cherokee.
I love Jeep Grand Cherokees. I'm not gonna buy one. I mean, like the new one, I wanted to actually talk about the new one, but let's talk about this first. He says Lee Iacocca showed up to Chrysler's deathbed in the hospital, or AMC's deathbed, and he said, "Just sign here, and your children will live on as eagles." And that's what happened.
That was the Cherokee, not the Grand Cherokee.
No, that was the Grand Cherokee. Grand Cherokee came first. Cherokee was already out. Cherokee was an AMC product, but it was a two-door SUV. Like, oh God, let me look at this piece of shit. You're not gonna like it. I love it, but I also love John Denver. Cherokee came out in the late 70s. This is it. So tiny. It looks like wood and it smells like grandpa's funeral. This was the AMC 88, the two-door Jeep Cherokee. So much chrome, more room to bone. And then the Wagoneer Cherokee was like the precursor to the Grand Cherokee, but it was just a truck. And that's kind of all I know. But then the Chrysler Cherokee. No, no. It has to be the XJ. XJ. Oh, whew. That was close. Almost had a heart attack. That baby. Oh yeah. Look at that horse. Yeah. Of course, a hipster blog like Gear Patrol. Oh, this was cooler than you remember. Shut up.
There's a shitty one that used to be somebody's RV dinghy parked outside my house. And it's just like the most perfect thing because that is the life cycle of one of those style of cars. It's some rich white person buys one to tow behind their RV and they sell it to somebody else when it's
Well, no,
time to get.
that's what they are for. That's what the Wranglers are for now.
Yeah. XT. X-ray.
No. What's the little boy SUV that's the lifted up Impreza?
The XT, the Crosstrek.
Crosstrek. Sorry. They don't call it the XT anymore, I don't think. It's just Crosstrek now.
It's literally just an Impreza. It rules.
All right, check this out. People have been complaining that there are no, it sucks that they don't make a new Cherokee anymore. Look at this, then look at this. Wait, don't look at that. It's terrible.
What if you searched 1998 Jeep Cherokee dimensions? No, don't.
There it is, right there. Length 87 to 90. Let's do 98. You're right. You're right. Eep.
You're so bad at this.
Yeah. Wheelbase 104 inches. Width 69.
Nice.
Nice. Smoking the ganja.
No, it's probably just playing.
Yeah. So people are like, I wish there was the Cherokee was still on sale. Look at these dimensions, and then look at the dimensions of the Subaru Crosstrek. 177 by 71 on the Crosstrek.
Mm-hmm.
Crap. 168 by 71.
The Jeep is smaller.
64 height. They're the same height, but the Jeep is like the Jeep is like 8 inches is shorter than the Crosstrek. But if we're going to compensate for like modern airbags and crumple zones and shit, the height's the same. The ride height on a Jeep Cherokee XJ and the Subaru Crosstrek is the same. If you want a Jeep Cherokee XJ, go buy a fucking Subaru Crosstrek. It has a warranty and everything. And it has the same fucking horsepower. It's 182 horsepower max out. The Crosstrek. 182 horsepower.
Yeah, but how much does it weigh?
Good question.
Search weight. Just add the word weight to your Google search. No, you have. Oh no.
Curb weight, 3265.
There's no fucking way that Jeep weighs any more than like 2,800 pounds.
I don't know, man. Never underestimate Chrysler's use of pig iron. Curb weight, 2979. So 2979 versus 3265. It's marginal, but it's there.
300 pounds is pretty decent.
But that 300 pounds is all in the thicker A and B and C pillars and crumple zones. It's a safer, more modern car. This car has 22 years on the Jeep. All I'm saying is the Jeep is still the better car, but the Subaru Crosstrek is like the modern version with all the technological advancements that we've made. You want something cheap, kind of bouncy and off-roady that can do everything?
Get a Honda CRX.
Or a Honda CRX. Any of these little like lifted cute utes, really.
Man, I haven't heard the phrase cute ute since I was watching a Motor Week retro review.
I love that phrase. I had to stop using it because people kept saying, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Like a ute, you know, it's an Australian term. Like, this is in Australia. Okay, whatever, you fucking nationalist.
Okay, Nazi.
Okay, Nazi. Well, anyway, back to the Jeep Grand Cherokee. Who's I haven't thrown up in a good week. So let's take a look at the 2022 Jeep Grand Cherokee. Now, this is not the Wagoneer, the Grand Wagoneer, which we know is coming back. We talked about that like on episode 2, actually. This is the replacement of the Grand Cherokee. And boy, it looks terrible.
It looks like a shitty Atlas.
It really does. I think they completely fucked this up. The current Cherokee looks pretty good, and it's been out for a really long time. So that says something about the design of that car, is that it still looks okay, and it's like 10 years old. This is very bad because the interior, I think, is okay. It definitely has that look. We're just like every other car on the market.
Is that a 2-spoke steering wheel?
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's really harkening back to like, remember like the 70s?
Oh no. 2-spoke steering wheels look like shit.
They look like shit unless they're like on a car from 1973.
You don't need to clarify that. That looks like shit.
I definitely agree with you on the steering
screen in
wheel.
the
I think
fucking
the interior looks okay.
It has a fucking passenger screen? What the fuck?
Yeah, that's the Grand Wagoneer. This is part of Chrysler's new like passenger entertainment screen system or whatever they're calling it.
Why are there so many screens?
Because that's what sells cars. People want a shitload of tech in their cars. God, this is awful.
You are mangling this website.
Yeah, it was not meant to be zoomed in. There you go. Yeah, this is the Grand Wagoneer. This is not the Jeep Grand Cherokee, but it's pretty close.
So is the Grand Wagoneer going to be the high trim or
Yeah,
the?
the Grand Wagoneer is going to be over $100,000.
That's so much money.
That's why you have screens, because they have to justify that price.
Did you see the Tesla thing that came out where they're having to recall all the Model 3s
Yeah.
because the screens are failing? And Tesla's official line was that the cars are only supposed to last 5 years.
Yeah. I did see that, Brandon, and I I guess my only reaction to that is told you so. I mean, we've known that, right? I mean, they're just sticking big tablets that only last a few years in our cars. And Tesla's not the only car company guilty of this. I mean, like any modern car you buy with these like digital dashes and these infotainment screens, they're not supposed to be easily replaced, and they're not going to be functional in about
Well,
8 years.
I think Tesla, I think Tesla, in order to be cutting edge and be the trendsetter, they cut a lot of corners there because the reason it's taken like 3 or 4 years for manufacturers to catch up to that, and we're only now just seeing the things that Tesla did in like 2012, 2013, is because the names were waiting for
Automotive grade suppliers to be able to make that stuff. Whereas Tesla literally went with off the shelf consumer grade stuff, and that's why they're all breaking. Because cars sit in the sun and they get very hot, and Tesla literally had to have their cars turn on when nobody's in them to try and save them from dying.
I agree with what you're saying about them setting the trend and them just like cutting corners. And I think the reason that it's completely inexcusable is that you see a company like Apple who literally shifted the market into where it is today, and they never cut any corners. Like when they were first changing the way we view like music. Like here's a fucking iPod. The iPod was like a near perfect product when it second generation. Have you heard that story of like um when Apple's trying to come up with the next iPod after the first one was such a big success, and like everybody in the room can't fucking think of how they could possibly improve on the iPod, and Steve Jobs takes the iPod and he puts it in a glass of water and he says, see all those bubbles coming out? That's a centimeter of space we could have saved to make this product more efficient, thinner, lighter, and faster. And I think they did. You open up one of these fucking iPods. Have you ever opened up an iPod before? Everything, it's like the engine bay of that Nissan. Everything's just crammed in there. And it's pretty good quality too. Tesla did the exact opposite. It was, who cares? Get it out to market. This is, people want to pretend like they're Iron Man. We're Tesla. Fuck everybody. Like, and it's just, as we say here in Oklahoma, their chickens are coming home to roost. There's
Is
actually
that
only
something
one
people in
half of
Oklahoma
it.
say?
What?
Is that something people in Oklahoma say?
I don't know. I don't talk to these filthy fucking people. I'd like to apologize to the state of Oklahoma. Sorry, you're
No, you
such a
wouldn't.
bunch of dicks. Suck my nuts, you conservative dick bags. Nah, kidding. They're quite nice out here, actually. Everybody's very polite. Just ugly. My Digimon took a shit. Yeah, I think Tesla's a terrible car company. I think their cars are terrible. You follow Alex Roy on Twitter?
No, but that sounds very familiar.
He's like the bald guy that drives the fucking Morgan three-wheeler, and he like set the cross country record. He's the policy, whatever you say it. Guy did the Polizei BMW, and he like drove it across the country.
Gotcha.
Wrote a book. He's an interesting fucking character. I responded to one of his tweets today. I wonder if he even cared. He like wrote this tweet. Pull it up. Let's go on Twitter. Let's see. Yeah, he wrote this tweet today. Why is it so hard to buy a car over the phone? Why do I have to go into a dealership? Why can't they honor the online quote? Why do they pretend not to know the correct sales tax? This is the first time I've ever actually wanted to say, do you know who I am? I promise you the dealerships know the correct sales tax for your state. All they have to do is Google it. They won't. Typically, a dealership will just say they're not going to honor the online quote. Because if you're like, he's in Miami and I think he's trying to buy a car like in like Tennessee or something.
Yeah.
And the online quote is like based on their market, which is horseshit. Like any dealers need to fucking wake up and realize that they're going to be selling cars to people from everywhere because we're all connected to this thing called the fucking internet. And if you're pricing your cars to compete only with your immediate market,
Yeah,
you're in trouble. There needs to be some room there. I mean, like if some guy wants to come in from Tennessee and he wants to fucking buy your car in Texas, he wants to buy your fucking car. He wants to do it over the phone. He wants to pay for transport. Do you want to sell a car or not? I mean, like,
Yeah, I remember buying the Civic. I would call up dealers and say, "Hey, how much for your Type R? I know I can't negotiate. Just tell me how much it is. I'm in Austin." And they're like, "Okay, well, why don't you come in?" And I say, "Okay, well, you're in Houston and I'm in Austin."
yeah.
They say, "Yeah, well, come on in. We'll talk to you about it." I was like, "I'm not driving unless we have a buyer's order. How much is your car? Come on in." And I just hang up.
Yeah. I mean, and that's really all management because like, when I was a salesperson, if somebody would ask me that, I would just be like, well, let me find out for you. I'll call you back. And as soon as I take that deal to management, they'd be like, if they don't come in the store, we're not going to sell them the car. And I'm just like, why? I can get this. I can probably negotiate the price on the transport.
Yeah,
I mean,
like
like if they really want it, they don't want to come to Houston, but they want to pay for transport. I mean, it's dumb. I mean, transport's going to cost more than a fucking plane ticket. I'll pick them up at the goddamn airport. But if that's what they want to do it. Like sell the
yeah,
car.
yeah. I would flat out tell them, I know I can't negotiate. Just tell me your number. I'm not going to ask for lower. I am going to shop around. Tell me your number.
Yeah, I mean, like,
It was just wild to me that people. I would literally tell them, I'm shopping around Type R's. I know you have one. I know I can't negotiate.
well,
Just tell me the
what
number
did
so I
what
can
did the
call.
website say the price of the car was? Call for price.
It was either call for price or MSRP. And literally nobody in Texas was doing MSRP deals unless
They were
that was
just saying that online, so you'd come in and look at it.
exactly.
Well, that's fucking fault. That they can't do that though. They can't fucking do that. You can't fucking say it's MSRP and then get there and it's like, well, it's $5,000 more. And I'm like, well, that's not sales tax.
The cars that were MSRP had mandatory accessories, and the car was MSRP, but there was a bunch of accessories.
Well, here's a little dirty little secret about some of the accessories. They're actually a pretty good deal, depending. Like the nitrogen in the tires thing is bullshit. But if you can get window tint on your car and it's only like $150 extra.
No, dude, the Type R accessories are like wheel locks and nitrogen. It's all the bullshit you don't.
I mean, I would pay for wheel locks on a Type R. I paid for wheel locks on my Mustang. I mean, I
No.
don't
It's
fuck with that. Well, I was living in a place where I wanted wheel locks. I was parking outside my apartment in San Marcos. I wanted wheel locks.
Yeah, there's a reason I bought from Gun because they said we're 1,200 over. I said, okay, great. I'll let you know. And they said, yeah, let us know. We're 1,200 over. It'll be 1,200 over tomorrow and the day after. Let me know when you want the car.
And that's how Honda. That's why I like Honda dealerships because that's kind of
You're the only Honda dealer who did that.
Well, you are a painfully stereotypical Honda customer, Brandon.
Yeah, but they're the only Honda dealer who fucking did that. Everyone else was
in Texas, yeah, because Hondas don't. I mean, people buy trucks. People like haggle over an F-150 with fucking rawhide, fucking leather seats and saddle pouches.
I will never forget John Eagle Honda in Houston. I called them up. I was like, "Hey, how much is your Type R?" They said, "Oh, it's 50 grand." I was like, "Oh, wow,
Jesus
okay, no,
fuck.
yeah." And they're like, "Okay, well, let's get some info from you." I was like, it's 50 grand. I have somebody on the phone right now for 38. So we're
You should buy
pretty
that
far
car.
off.
Is that what they told you?
No, they said, okay, well, I'll talk to my manager. Let me get your number. I was like, okay.
Fuck that. Just tell you
And
like,
no,
hey, you should buy that one.
I'm literally driving to Gun. Uh, and they call me back and I say, okay, well, I'm on the way to pick up a car for 1,200 over. So no, I don't want your car. And I said, okay, hold on. And the fucking sales manager gets on the phone and says, we'll do 1,100 over if you come over to Houston. I said, no, dude, you've been calling me all fucking day. You've gone from $50,000 to $36,000. I would have gone to Houston first if you just told me $36,000 or whatever.
What I think that is their mentality is we can get somebody to pay 50 grand for it. And they said that like 6 months ago, and the car is still fucking there. And you're on the phone now, and they're like, hey, we'll do 1,100 off. You should have said, sell it to me for 1,000 below MSRP, and I'll be there in 6 hours. That's what I would have said. And they would have said, we can't do that. And been like, okay, bye.
No, I like,
just fuck them. Fuck them.
I was reading, well, I mean, yeah, fuck them. But I like, the truth of the matter is, you know, I wanted to vote with my dollar and like not reward the scummy dealer. Like maybe it would save some money. But
Fair
like,
enough.
But like Gunn told me we're 1,200 over. That was the first thing they said. And they also, and I said, can you not put the front plate on, and can you not wash it? Can you not touch it? And just like leave it alone. I said, yeah, absolutely. All I need is a buyer. All I need is a credit check from you and a $100 deposit that'll get rolled into the car. And if you don't want the car, you get the $100 back. But just do that, and we'll put it off to the side. No one's going to touch it. No one's going to do anything with it. And you'll be the second person to sit in it after our porter who drove it off the truck. And
that sounds like a very good deal. And Gun is local, and Gun's not really a scummy dealership. They're kind of, you know, they're whatever. They're fine.
Yeah,
they're like, big. They're huge. Their store's fucking huge.
Yeah, they were.
So like, have you ever been to like Blue Bonnet Ford in New Braunfels? That place is like amazing. I love that dealership.
Yeah, Gun Honda in San Antonio had like a massage studio and all this weird shit, and I was like, and I told the salesman, I was like, I'm never coming back here, dude. Like, I'm gonna buy this car and go back home to Austin. He's like, I know, but I have to walk you around.
So they absolutely have to. Like, did you have to meet the manager and shake his hand, or like the GM? Oh, I used to get in trouble for not doing that shit. And they would be like, it's cool that we're seeing your coffee bar, but like, we just really want to talk about the car. I'm like, yeah, and okay, well, let's take a look at this giant flat screen. Look, it's a touch screen. You can buy accessories. Nobody wants that. And I told my boss straight up, I was like, look, I was nice about it. I was like, I don't think the customers, value that part of the experience. Well, why not? What in your years of expertise make you blah blah blah? That dude got fired. So fuck him. And the new guy was just like, yeah, I don't care about the flat screen. Like, don't fucking just feel them out. If you think they're like talking about how beautiful the place is, give them a tour. If not, tell them to fuck off. Buy the car. But I remember going to there's a big Mazda dealership on 35, like heading towards San Antonio, and maybe it's in New Braunfels. I remember going there with my friend Megan. She wanted to buy this really used. She still has it. She has a really nice Kia Soul. It's like a base model Kia Soul, and it's like perfect for her because she doesn't really need much of a car. And like they were like, this is our entertainment lounge, and there was like this huge empty room with like all these like kids toys crammed in one corner, and a PlayStation 2 that was like chained to the fucking counter, and like a tiny flat screen, and it was just like Gran Turismo 3 or some shit. And he was like, if you want to change games, we can unlock that and change the games for you. And I was like, yeah, don't worry about that. I have a smartphone. Like, it's just so funny. The like all you really need in a dealership is like a place to sit and drink coffee while you wait to leave.
Have you ever been to Howdy Honda?
Yeah, I love Howdy Honda.
It's perfect.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's got a place to sit. It's got vending machines if you want, and it's got a good showroom for sitting in the fucking cars. Howdy Honda, tremendous dealership, and I do mean tremendous because it is a fucking massive dealership. It is so it's one of the biggest I've ever seen, and they sell fucking Hondas. I test drove that V6 Honda Accord Coupe, and the salesperson had a like blue squib in his hair, and he had like blue blocker glasses on, and he was like, you want to look at the most expensive car we make? And I was like, this is the most expensive car you make? And he said, yes, this is the most expensive car we could in 2013.
That has never been true.
The Honda V6 Accord Coupe.
It was the Pilot. It's always the Pilot.
I hate the Pilot. I hate all the Pilots. I'm sorry, they're not good cars. I'm sure they're like mechanically good. You would not believe the amount of people who would trade in brand new Pilots when I worked at Volkswagen, and they were only like 8 months old, and they would all say the same thing. I hate this car. Why do you hate it? And they're just like, I don't know. It's always women. It's like moms, and they're just like, it's just like, it has no personality. I don't like driving it. And I'm like, well, how lucky for you that you can just decide you don't like the personality of your $50,000 mommy mobile and come in here and trade all this negative equity into a Volkswagen.
Yeah, they're very competent, but
they're just not terrible. They missed the mark with getting Americans interested.
They have very bland styling, and the interior. Let's get some interior shots up.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. You read my noggin.
The engine is the J series, which they have been making relatively unchanged since like 2002.
I'll be sure to mention that in the sales pitch. The engine is the J series. It is relatively unchanged since year 2002. I'm sure everybody. There's 2019. See,
yeah, it's fine.
It's fine. It's nothing great. It's not terrible. I think this is like what Honda has been missing out on. Well, here we got a video, I guess.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah. Let's full screen this B. What Honda has really been missing out on is personality. I mean, they've had it before. They just don't have it anymore.
The turbo 4L series has a lot of that personality. That's why people like the CRVs. Like, people love CRVs.
Well, I'm talking more about like apparent subjective personality, like the way it looks, the presence it has next to other cars. It just sort of blends in. The other Pilot did too. I mean, it was just an car. And this really just looks like what it should be, which is just a bigger CRV. The styling is just CRV, but more.
The Passport is the most baffling product Honda makes.
Yeah, it's like the Volkswagen Atlas Cross Sport. It's like, why do you need to like shorten the wheelbase and make there to be?
People are fucking dumb and they want that. But
yeah, I mean, it looks good though. Volkswagen, for all their shortcomings, Volkswagen makes a kind of good looking car.
I don't know who wants the Passport.
I don't know who wants the Passport either. It's not selling very well. I think they thought it was going to be for younger families. I mean, when I see a midsize SUV that only has 2 rows of seats in 2021, I'm thinking either empty nesters or I'm thinking younger upstart families with maybe a baby in the next 4 years. Usually people are probably a little outdoorsy, but they like buy like hiking boots with like extra padding because their heels start to hurt because they only go hiking once every 8 months. The Passport is truly baffling. The old Passport was fucking cool. This is putting me to sleep.
Yeah, this is bad.
It's the gray seats are the what's so fucking bad
It's
about
just
it.
it is. This is essentially a lifted Odyssey. There's not. I think the Odyssey is actually. Let's go on Honda automobiles.honda.com. Is the Odyssey or the Pilot more expensive? I bet it is the Pilot.
Okay, vehicles. It's probably the Pilot because I think the Pilot starts at 32. No, I think it would be the Passport.
No, because go on
It
the
is.
Pilot. I know the Pilot. I know the Passport starts more, which is absolutely baffling. But go on the Pilot, and then what does the Elite cost? Nobody gives a shit about the.
All right,
Oh, there we go.
Elites 48,720. The black edition though, which I'm sure is just what it says it is, 50 50 grand. And this is them trying to fix the problem. Honda's a smart company and they know what the problem is. They're like, our car, nobody wants it because it doesn't look cool. So they just painted it with Vanta black and they're like, look, at night, no one will be able to see you. And we're gonna go to the Passport, you said?
Yeah.
Elite 44. Okay.
Yeah.
It tops out lower than the Passport.
Right.
Fair.
How
It's a
much does
smaller
Odyssey
car.
cost? What's that Odyssey at?
RIP Odyssey Vacuum.
RIP. You click on the Pilot again.
Oh, see, I can't even tell them apart.
The eye is naturally drawn to the Honda Pilot.
Ah,
You
yes.
click on minivan and truck up there, or whatever.
Oh, of course. Ah, the Ridgeline. I have a soft spot for the Ridgeline.
It's great. It is. I would own a Ridgeline.
You should buy one.
Ooh, just under.
Just. I like the Odyssey, but like a minivan is just completely useless for me.
Yeah.
You know what? If you wanted a really good Japanese car and you wanted one that looked really good, you should just buy a Mazda.
Charles Fenner, our boy Charles Fenner.
Our boy Fenner.
He was like, I really want a fun car to replace the Audi, and I want something that has like turbo and all-wheel drive, and so I think I'm gonna go look at the Mazda 3 hatchback. And
He's gonna hate
I don't think
it.
you're like that, Charles. I think
He's
it's gonna
gonna
be really
hate it.
boring. And he said, "No, I don't know. It's got that turbo. It's all-wheel drive. It's a lot like the S4." I was like, I don't think it's gonna be a lot like it. I think it's really boring.
Oh, it's gonna be so fucking boring.
And
We talked about this when I was in town.
Yeah, this was a while ago. And sure enough, the next day, I don't think that's the car for me.
Yeah, no shit. It is a good car, but it's a Japanese hatchback with all-wheel drive. I mean, it's
not even, because the last gen Mazda 3 with all-wheel drive would be an amazing car, but this is a Honda Fit with all-wheel drive. It's a big Honda Fit with all-wheel drive, is what it is.
Is it actually related to the Honda Fit, or is it just so similar?
So the previous gen Mazda 3 had a independent rear suspension, and the new one has a torsion beam, which is the same thing that the Fit and the Fiesta and like shitty cars.
Every hatchback out there except the Golf and the Honda and
the Veloster uses independent.
There's something other than the Honda Civic has independent, and there's something else.
The Veloster?
Maybe
it does.
I mean, I know it does, but I think I'm thinking of something else.
Okay.
The Golf does, but the Golf is expensive. Anyway, the reason for this is because, the Golf is like 35 grand or some shit. And no one's going to pay that for a hatchback in the United States. Case in point, the base model, the Golf that's not a GTI, the regular normal 1.4 has been discontinued in the US market because it's just not cost effective and nobody's buying it.
Yeah, but Mazda can't. But Mazda's whole thing is they're trying to go up market. They're trying to be baby BMW, and you cannot go up market by making your car shittier.
You're right. But once they can justify the price, this is what they're thinking. Once we can justify the price, Well, then we can go ahead and put that independent suspension back on. And then the next generation could be a $40,000 hatchback because it's a luxury car now. Like nobody's gonna buy it if they don't like driving it. Very pretty though. I like this car.
It looks like
250 horsepower. If it just had the right rear end, 250 horsepower is pretty good. But
the last,
it's pretty fucking good.
the last one looks so much better.
I don't know. There's something about the new one that I really like. Kind
It
of.
looks like shit. Looks like shit.
You know what is funny
Finished.
about the hatchback though? It makes the sedan look really good.
Yeah, the sedan has never looked better because it's not the fucking unfinished hatchback.
Yeah. Oh, Clarence. I don't really like the way Mazda does their infotainment system. I know they have all the fucking like we've talked about this to death. I know they have all the fucking like data that like the human brain shouldn't be doing touch screens because it's so much more efficient if you use like little hand control things, but like I just don't like it. I just like the touch screen.
When you said, "Oh yeah, you have to use this dumbass knob on the Audi," I was baffled.
Yeah, it's the same thing as like a luxury car. I think at this point, I'm really suspicious that Mazda is just making excuses to make their cars feel more like Audis.
No, that's explicitly what they've said. They have said they are trying to go up market. They are trying to be Mazda is trying to be in like the same rung as Acura and Lexus and Infiniti, but also be mass market. But the problem is that nobody's fucking buying those cars.
Exactly. And I mean, like nobody's going to buy a Mazda who's cross shopping it with a Lexus or a BMW unless they come to only one conclusion, which is I can't afford a Lexus or a BMW or a blah blah blah. And you know, if you can't afford that, the logical conclusion is to go get a car you can't afford, like a Toyota. Which, in my opinion, right now, Toyota and Honda are just doing everything right. They're just hitting home run after fucking home run after home run. They're boring cars, but they're very like good.
I don't know. I think Honda needs a real truck. Like the Ridgeline is fun and cute, and I think the Ridgeline is secretly the best truck for 90% of truck buyers. But Honda needs a real truck, and they need a real electric solution. And I'm very excited about the announced GM Honda electric partnership because the Maverick, it's called the Maverick, and it's going to be an enormous piece of shit, and they're going to sell a goddamn billion of them.
Well, yeah, I was just about to say. So, since you've heard of the Maverick, does Honda need a real pickup truck? Because Ford's obviously picked up on this whole like, let's just make a fucking unibody crossover pickup truck.
The difference is that um, people buy the Maverick because they're too stupid to know it's not an F-150, but people know the Ridgeline is not a real pickup.
But that's the Ranger, though. Like the
Yeah,
Ranger
you're
is
gonna
the
go.
not F-150
Remember the
F-150.
Explorer Sport Track?
Yeah, I love that car.
No, they're fucking garbage ass pieces of shit, and they
I
sold.
know, but they're like that was such a good idea though. That was like
Yeah,
tiny. The Explorers of that generation were like such fucking good car. Well, not good cars, but they're the perfect size. Like what I really want is just a car. I
I
want my daily driver to be the size of like a 1998 Jeep Grand Cherokee.
I asked several people. I for whatever reason I was in a couple Ubers of those. Every single one of them I asked, question for you: why'd you get the Explorer, not the F-150? Oh, it was way cheaper. People buying that are purely price shoppers,
Yeah,
and they're going to go into a Ford dealership and say, "I want the cheapest truck you have." Yes, sir. Here's the fucking Maverick. That looks great.
it's true. That's how the Ranger moves. I mean, the Ranger has just become a new fleet truck, really. The Ranger was such a fucking disappointment, like the new Ranger. Like I was just tragic disappointment.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think the Ranger doesn't fill a niche. I think the Maverick is going to fill a niche. I don't think the Ranger fills a niche.
But like the Colorado fills a niche, like the Tacoma. The Colorado is like if you want a if you want a small truck, and you have to buy American for some reason, you buy a Colorado. Because if you don't have to buy American, you don't even have to think about it. You just go buy a Tacoma.
Yeah.
And if you're poor, you buy a Frontier.
Right.
There's going to be a new Nissan Frontier debuting at the Super Bowl. Whoopee.
I mean, there has to be. They've been selling the same one since 2006.
Who cares? Who gives a shit? Like, who cares? Like Nissan has so many problems. And
Let's do a build and price right now on a Nissan Frontier.
Okay.
Look at how it is literally from 2006.
I rented one of these once, and I went back to the rental company and said, I can't do this while my car is in the shop. And they gave me a Ford Edge. And I still, to this day, I have a soft spot for the Ford Edge. I think it's, if it was a little bit more fun to drive, I think I would be all about it. I know they make the Edge ST, but meh. Build price.
Look how 2006 that is.
Yeah, it's simple. This God, how many trims are there?
Too many.
Frontier King Cab S.
That's
4x4. 29,980.
Imagine paying Type R money for your shitty 15-year-old truck.
With that, it tops out. The 4x2 Midnight Edition is 31. Is that where it tops out? My God, the most.
Wait, scroll down.
This one's 37. This one's 37. Okay, that makes more sense. Frontier Crew Cab Pro 4X. Okay, the Pro 4X I think is their like off-roady, blah blah blah.
It has halogen headlights.
Yeah, it does. Well, actually, no. Wow. This is literally for like, if you buy this truck, you are stupid. If you pay $38,000 for a truck that has halogen headlights in 2021, you're a fucking idiot. Holy shit. This is making me sick. I'm getting out of here. Still like Nissan though. Oh, they put their new logo on their website. That's adorable. Ugh. That's Pikachu.
That looks like a shitty juke.
That's what the Kicks is. Wait, is that what the Rogue is? I don't know what I can't get Nissan's like shit straight anymore. It's just like,
right. Ever since
what are we doing here?
Ever since they woke up one morning and said, "Oh, Carlos Ghosn fucked us sideways, didn't he? I guess we better try and fix it." Oh my God, they're still selling the Rogue Sport. That's incredible.
Yeah, the old Rogue. It's just called the Sport. Ugh.
Look at it. Look at that fucking thing.
This was actually a mildly good car in 2010.
Yeah, no, 10 years ago, this was a really good car for soccer moms.
Again, though, it hits a price point. Look at this military program. Tops out SL $28,600. Starts at $23,430. This is like just like the Tiguan problem. It's like we need an SUV that's this big, and I can't spend more than this money. Well, if you go to Nissan, you can get a brand new one.
Yeah.
The Rogue, I don't really know what to say about the Rogue. It's just another car.
It drives through sand. Do they still sell the Versa?
No. They do. They sell the Versa Note, I think. I don't think they sell the hatchback anymore. My girlfriend in college had one of these cars. Honestly, it's not that bad a car.
$14,900. That is cheap as fuck.
It's the cheapest new car on the market today.
It's not it was the Spark for a while.
I don't think the Versa is. I don't think they're going to keep making it. There's only one trim.
Incredible.
I think they're done making this car. The Sentra, they're trying to take the Sentra market. I keep seeing the commercials on TV because I live in a house with cable, and they're really trying to make people think that the Sentra is like an exciting, fun car for like families. And like it tops out at 21,750. I mean, it's not. It's like it's just an economy sedan. A little bit nicer. It's like a Jetta from Japan. And
I
then
have never ever met someone who bought a Nissan because they wanted a Nissan. I've always met people who have Nissans because that was all they could get.
I wanted a Nissan. I wanted an Altima for two reasons. When I was cross shopping it with the Honda Accord, and I ended up buying the Jeep. Or no, I ended up buying the GTI. That's right. You can get all wheel drive, and I swear to God, the Honda. We talked about this before, but the Nissan Altima has the most comfortable seats I've ever felt in a car. It's the rest of the car though, really nothing to say. This is just like the best rental car you can get.
I'd still rather have a Fusion.
I mean, they don't make the Fusion anymore
There's plenty of Fusions in rental lots.
for now. If it honest, yes, the Fusion, like Ford's presence in the rental lot was completely replaced by the Edge. The Ford Edge is the rental car Ford makes right now.
I wish they had like done a Honda thing and done, a full refresh of the Fusion like 4 or 5 years ago, because that is such a good car.
It is a great car. It's essentially a Volvo, but it's a great car. I wonder, last time I was on Ford's website, they still had it for sale.
No, is it? No, the Mondeo. It's not because Volvo is Chinese owned now. They haven't had Volvo in a long time.
Yeah, 2020 Fusion. They still have them on their websites. They have a little notice like blah blah blah. There was a little thing on here that was just
Never
like
seen
2020
the
will be the
hybrid
last.
or plug-in Fusions though.
I think they're only selling the hybrid in 2020. No. This was the one everybody said. No, they didn't make one. Damn it. Do you remember the Fusion Sport?
Yeah,
They put all-wheel drive and a twin turbo V6 under the hood of this thing.
and it just shattered transmissions every year.
Yep. And all the reviews were like, it's okay, I guess. It's kind of just like a really heavy family SUV. Ford completely fucked that up. It was so pathetic. I stopped caring about the Fusion when they changed the shifter to the knob. And I know everything's gonna have the knob, but what?
I am not one of those people who gives a shit about automatic shifters.
I mean, yeah.
I would rather have a knob than that bullshit Audi does.
Yeah, absolutely. I would rather have the knob than the Audi shifter. The Audi shifter and the shifter on my brother's Jeep Grand Cherokee, the older one where it's like shift and click. That shit should be illegal. I've never been more annoyed by something. Just like, oh my God.
But anyway, where I was going with that, the Fusion hybrid and the plug-in hybrid are the most hilarious things because they were never designed as hybrids. Ford just did it, so they put all the batteries in the trunk.
Yeah.
So the Fusion plug-in has like a Miata trunk. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
You should bring that up on screen for me.
Pull it up. That's hilarious. Jimmy, pull that up for me.
The Fusion plug-in, it's the Energy, ENRGI trunk.
I also want to say that like my poor typing can easily be blamed on this shitty keyboard.
Yeah. You just shouldn't have bought that computer.
Whatever. It's the only computer I've got, so I'm just gonna have to make do. Yeah. What?
Oh, there it is. That's what I was thinking of. Look at that. Look at that enormous fucking box.
Yeah. A lot of car companies did that back in the day, but like it's just fucking inexcusable. my Blake's ex-girlfriend in college, when she broke up with Blake, she was still best friends with my girlfriend, and I had to go hang out with her and her new boyfriend, who was this guy she only dated for like a couple months, but he had this car. He had just bought it, and he was like a tech guy who had just moved here from like Maryland or some shit. And
Sure.
like he had this car, and he was like, "You're a car guy, right? Like, what do you think of my car?" And I'm like, "Well, the Fusion's pretty cool, but I don't know anything about the hybrid." And we definitely like opened this trunk, and I was like, "Bro, you don't have any fucking trunk space." And he said something to the effect of, "Well, I never haul anything anyway. I'm just looking for something to get me from point A to point B." I'm like, why'd you buy a $50,000 car then?
You should have bought an Accord.
You should have bought like anything else. You should have bought like a used Golf diesel, something. Incredible. Let's talk about this. This was news sent to me today by my father. Apple and Hyundai Kia pushing towards deal on Apple Car.
Nothing would make me happier than if goddamn Hyundai makes an Apple car.
Yes, they're the perfect company to do it.
No,
And
they're the
if
worst
if
company ever.
if Dieselgate had never happened, it would have been Volkswagen.
But Hyundai makes such awful, shitty cars, and Apple will never be happy with anything they make. And all these tech bros will drop Tesla like hot fucking garbage so they can go buy a goddamn Kia.
This is true. I think Kia makes okay cars. I don't think they're garbage. I think
Yeah.
Kia is better than Hyundai, but
They're the same car. Kia makes great cars that you can recommend to your friend without feeling bad about how much money they're spending or the quality of car they're getting, and you don't have to think too hard about it.
yeah, that's like it's the official car of. Well, I'm not gonna buy one, but I think you should buy one.
Exactly.
If all you're looking for is an car,
Right.
you did it. The
What car should I buy, Brandon? You should buy a Civic. I don't really want to spend that much money. Oh,
a
go buy
Sorrento.
go buy a Sorrento. Why not?
Sorrento. I actually kind of like the Sorrento because it is like the last simple car. Is it the Sorrento? Is the Sorrento the little hatchback?
No, that's the accent. I was draining my brain to understand why you like the enormous SUV.
Yeah, what
I'm thinking of the accents or the
no,
Rio.
it's the Rio. Yeah, I think it's the Rio. Gear up for
The
winter.
Hyundai is the accent.
Yeah.
Hold down.
Actually, they may have stopped. Yep, Rio. The Rio, I watched the Savage Geese review on it, and he was like, "This is incredible. It's better than any cheap car ever. It does
Wireless
everything you want.
CarPlay. Damn, dude.
It's just fine."
I bet they sell a lot of these fucking things
Oh yeah,
with it does wireless CarPlay for 16 grand.
forward-thinking technology. It has Kia Forward Collision Advance with pedestrian FCA PED. It has lane keeping assist. It has lane forwarding assist. It has high beam assist. It has driver attention warning.
Damn, my fucking $35,000 Honda doesn't have this bullshit.
And that comes in a car that costs
Wait.
16.9.
Wait, the base model doesn't have fucking keyless. Scroll back up.
No, the base model does not have keyless.
What?
No, see, this is the last simple car there is. You can get a manual transmission. You can get this with roll down windows. You can get put the key in, roll the windows down, and that's it. It's got a manual transmission. It is the last simple
No, it
car
doesn't.
on the
I don't.
market.
The base model does not have manual.
They may not have it anymore. Hold on.
Savage Geese is Canadian, right? I'm sure that's a Canadian thing.
They're not Canadian. They're from Illinois. Might as well be Canadian.
Who am I thinking of?
Oh, the straight pipes.
Yes, performance.
Performance.
Don't click on colors. Colors is not transmission, you dumbass.
It's fine. I can't see them anyway.
Transmission type. Yeah.
IVT.
IVT?
Intelligent variable transmission.
Oh.
That's not a CVT. I recognize that the I is a different letter than the C.
Wow.
People who drive these, they're called something that starts with C.
What's my front and rear suspension type?
Front suspension type, McPherson strut, gas shock absorber, stabilizer bar. Ooh, couple torsion beam axle with twin tube shock absorbers. Twin tube.
Ooh, twin
Giving her the
tube.
twin tube.
My CRX doesn't have twin tubes.
Well, maybe you should get some.
No.
Compare trims. All right, there we go. Here we go. Here we go. Same. This is same size. Thank God.
I hate when companies do this.
They have to. This is a part of the consumer protection law. The only one.
The last one.
USB charging ports. You have to upgrade to the S.
So I get wireless Android Auto, but not a charging port.
Mm.
I get wireless Android Auto, but not fucking cruise control.
Power windows. Okay, they do come with power windows. Remote keyless entry. No remote keyless entry.
God, I didn't think you could buy a fucking car in 2020 that didn't have keyless.
Well, listen to this. Smart key with push button start and immobilizer is not standard on the higher trim. It's still optional. So you can get the higher trim and forego that option. Air conditioning, thank God. Automatic temperature control, optional. Supervision meter cluster. That sounds like a disease. Center console with sliding armrest. It doesn't come on the base model. You don't have a center console with sliding armrest. You just have a hole. You have a bucket.
The last time I visited Austin, I rented. When I was looking for Boardly, I rented a Yaris with. Oh my God, the seats don't fold down on the base model. That is incredible. I rented a base model Yaris, and I will never. It was wild to me that it had Ford. See, now they're like the Mazda. It's not the same thing.
Oh, it was the IA, wasn't it?
No, it was. This is the Mazda 3. This is before. This is back when it was the Toyota, like the actual Toyota. Search 2018 Yaris.
There it is. Look at it.
That thing.
They
yeah.
didn't even pay for the background.
No. It's that gray one there. No, that's the European one to the left of that. That thing.
Oh, the scrotum.
Yeah, I got one of those.
Ugh.
And it had forward collision assistance, lane keeping, and it didn't have keyless, but it had power windows. And it was weird. It was such a weird car. It was, it just felt like those old. It felt like an old like American car where you could just like check a bunch of random option boxes. It felt like
that might have been what it was, though.
No, I think what it truly was Toyota assumed that lane keeping and like having a front camera was going to be was like regulatory requirement, so they just built every car with them and then included nothing else.
Strange. It's just fucking strange, dude.
It was so weird. It was the weirdest car I've ever driven. Not the worst car I've ever driven. The worst car I've ever driven was the Yaris, it was a Yaris, the Prius C that I rented when I visited Austin for the very first time. That is the most miserable, bullshit, terrible car.
Is that the little hatchback Prius?
It is the Yaris Prius, yeah.
Oh yeah, this is like too expensive for what it is.
It is like dangerously slow. I remember thinking I was going to die.
Just because you couldn't get out of people's way?
Yeah, dude, it was so slow. It was so slow. Like it was slow in the way my EG was, except my EG had a 5-speed and you could at least like control when shifted and not the awful CVT this thing had, and it would just go bruh.
Bruh.
Awful car. Awful.
Oh God. I think the worst car I ever drove. What would the worst car I've ever driven in my entire life be? God, I don't know. Oh, the Dodge Avenger.
Those are really bad.
Yeah, that was I don't think I really need to say anything else about it. I know this is not the first time we've pulled up the Avenger.
No, because the last time I pulled up the Avenger, I had the revelation that the Chrysler 200 is the same car, and I've never been inside a Dodge Avenger, and yet I've been inside a Dodge Avenger thousands of times because
That's
my
right.
grandma had a 200, and then my sister bought it for actual money.
Actual money. Yeah, my brother's friend Paul is a storm chaser, and this is his storm chasing car. Because he's just
Did-
like, who cares what happens to this piece of shit? I think it finally died on him.
That
Or
makes
like,
sense, though. I respect that.
yeah,
What
it's
is
just like if you're
what
gonna
is
go
that?
storm
No, no,
chasing,
no, 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 no. What is that?
this is the old Avenger.
Look on that.
The Avenger was like a nameplate. I mean, like they made Avengers.
What is this?
It's basically a Stratus coupe. I'm pretty sure. The second generation Eagle Talon and Mitsubishi Eclipse debut, which are both built. Blah. He was until 1994. One so lucky he didn't live on to another generation. Instead, Chrysler's link up with Mitsubishi yielded another product, the Dodge Avenger. The coupe arrived for the 1995 model year, replacing the Daytona. I remember the Daytona in the Dodge lineup.
Oh, this
It's a
is
Diamond Star Motors product.
it's a shitty Eclipse.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Unfortunately for the Avenger, all of the Eclipse / Talon drivetrain bits weren't offered in the Dodge, most notably the turbocharged 4-cylinder engine and available all-wheel drive. Instead, the range-topping Avenger ES packed a Mitsubishi-developed 2.5-liter V6, making 155 horsepower and 161 pounds-foot. The only transmission available with the Avenger's most potent engine offering was a 4-speed automatic. Double wishbone suspension was a highlight, blah, blah, put it to sleep, blah, blah. Yeah, I remember these cars. It had that like the Dodge Ram grill on a sedan when like that grill meant you had a Dodge.
Yeah.
90s Dodge. I hated 90s Dodge, even when I was a kid. It was like, that's the evil car because it was always red and black. Like their colors were red and black. It's just like, ugh.
Yeah.
I hated
Well,
Rams.
I thought they were cool because Vipers were the cool car in Gran Turismo.
My brother wanted a Viper when we were little kids. He said that was the coolest car he ever saw. And that one right there.
Yeah, blue with white stripes. Hell
Blue
yeah.
with white stripes. That was his favorite Viper. My dad's business partner bought a Viper, kept it for 6 months, and then sold it. And he said it was the worst experience he'd ever had. He said I couldn't hear anything in the car.
Yeah.
It was always hot.
Yep.
And he put in an aftermarket stereo because the one that it came with wasn't loud enough to be heard at full volume, and he couldn't hear his own music.
Yeah. No, it was explicitly made to be a modern Chevy Cobra. It was not supposed to be a decent car. It was supposed to be very, 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 very fast.
I'm just gonna say, watch the DeMuro review if you haven't. I mean, like, watch DeMuro's like review on the first gen.
I will never watch anything Doug DeMuro makes on purpose.
Why? You don't like DeMuro?
Fuck that guy.
What? Why?
We've talked about this.
What did he do? I don't know what he did.
He sucks. I don't like him.
Oh, he just sucks. Oh, okay. I don't mind him.
He's not canceled. He just sucks.
Okay, cool. The only person that's canceled is Tavares, and I'm putting that out there. Yeah, I get it. He's got kind of a grating personality. I just think he's like milk toast and kind of bland. I'd rather watch Hoovy, his disciple. I guess what's his name? Tyler Hoover. He calls himself Hoovy.
Yeah.
I like him a lot more, and I like his mechanic. DeMuro, did you ever watch his house reviews?
No.
He did like house reviews for a little bit. He has that second channel, and he was like, I'm going to expensive Airbnbs and reviewing how weird and quirky this fucking house is. I guess I'm Doug DeMuro. It's like, good for him for branching out.
No, fuck him.
He just annoys you. You are not the first person that I've met who are just like, I want to punch that guy in the fucking face. I hate him so goddamn much.
No. I don't wish violence upon him. I just think he sucks. I don't want to watch any of his videos. I don't think anyone else should either. But like, I'm sure he's a great guy.
And
He
like
seems
my
like
list
a
of
guy.
like top 10 favorite YouTube channels for cars, he's probably like number 6. He's between 4 and 6.
Yeah, you know, he
He's
seems like
I'd
a
rather
great
watch him
guy.
than Mighty Car Mods.
He is a yeah. No, Mighty Car Mods, they're not canceled, but they should have been canceled.
They're boring now. They're just
Oh, they're so
ads.
boring. They're so boring. Um, no, Doug DeMuro seems like a genuine enthusiast and a great guy, and I'm very happy for all of his success. But man, he sucks. I have no interest in anything that he does.
You know, I've really been watching a lot of recently is Matt Farah.
Speaking of people we think suck,
I don't think Matt Farah. I've never really thought I've been angry at that guy before for long periods of time. But when I was first getting into cars, dude, I like him and Jeremy Clarkson. I like idolized them. I was like, they're the cool. I want to be just. I want to know that much about cars. I want to drive. Blah blah blah. Of course, I'm like 18 at the time, and Matt Farah is like, he's a host on a show called Garage 419. It's like an early YouTube video, and he's like living in New York City, and his video on like he did a back to back on like the Mustang V6 versus the Mustang GT, and his Mustang GT video was like got me to like figure out a way to like save up enough money or like convince my dad to buy me the GT instead of the V8 or the V6. I have a soft spot for Matt Farah, but I've been watching a lot of his videos and like they're not as good as they used to be, but they're still pretty fucking good. The one thing I have noticed about Farah is like he's a really good salesman. Like people who do ad reads on the internet, there's like 3 types. There's like the person who obviously doesn't give a shit, the person who's a really good salesman, that's like Matt Farah. Then you have like the internet historian who makes like a funny skit out of their fucking like if they got to do NordVPN, they
yeah.
like invent this whole like elaborate like the internet story did like an anime opening for NordVPN. I thought it was really fucking good. And
James,
then
you were in the back seat when I sold the Fiesta. How good am I at selling cars?
pretty good. You're better than I was. But you gave a shit. I think that's the only difference between, I mean, like you and I both are people with college degrees. So like when you like look at the job of selling cars, it's like, who gives a fuck? Like I would rather just go fucking do anything else. Just go push paper. Then I can afford a better car.
Speaking of pushing paper, I think I'm gonna have to do that in a second.
You're
Take a
gonna have
break.
to what? What?
Let's take a break.
Break? Okay, cool.
Break.
Okay. Oh, pushing paper. That's funny. Cool. I'll see you back in a few minutes. I gotta change that fucking photo.
What?
I gotta change that fucking photo. My like
Which one?
the Zoom photo when I do this. Can you see that?
Oh, your headshot of you like looking off in the distance.
Yeah, that's my like LinkedIn and like everything job related photo. It met all the criteria they told us to do. They were like, because we think like what really responds with employers now is like, don't take it too seriously. Just like be yourself. So show a relaxed demeanor. I'm like, all right. Still haven't had a single fucking interview or anyone call me about a job. But it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, I told you, dude. I think it's a really bad time.
I think it's fucking picking up. But I do have an idea of what I'm gonna do with my future, but we'll talk about it after the podcast.
Okay.
I know we're kind of wrapping things up here. We're back to the topic of YouTube. You know what I think my favorite YouTube channel for cars right now, and I watch like a shitload of YouTube. Like I don't even watch TV at all. I watch so much fucking YouTube, man. And YouTube's gotten way worse than it has been probably ever. But my favorite YouTube channel for just cars right now is by far Donut. Like, and I know a lot of people are like, they're like just like hipsters and like blah blah blah. Like, their videos are legitimately entertaining. And when I get on YouTube and I that's kind of all I really want. I mean, like the Holy Trinity for me, the Holy Trinity for me right now is like Donut, regular, and like Project Binky. Those are my faves, and I highly recommend that everybody watches those.
I didn't realize that they started Binky 6.5 years ago.
Isn't that fucking crazy? Oh no, they're dead.
What?
My digital monsters, they're dead.
You killed your Digimons?
No, they just pooped and then went to sleep.
Just like my dogs.
Oh yeah. This is such a trip to like be doing this 90s shit again.
Pretty soon you're gonna be playing Pokemon Blue.
I will. I called Nintendo. They opened a case for me on my 3DS. I called them a couple days ago.
Hell yeah.
They were like, "Can you prove that it was stolen?" And I'm like, "I can send you a picture of my empty fucking hands if you'd like. Like, what do you want? Like, it's gone." And they're like, "Okay, well." I wasn't mean about it. I was just like, "No, I don't have proof it was stolen." And they're like, "Did you file a police report?" And I'm like, "No, there was. I just like it's just gone." They're like, "Well, we have to like categorize that as a loss, but if you lost it, it's kind of the same as getting it stolen, and we'll just like start a case for you." And they wanted the
Okay,
serial.
great.
Yeah, they were like, "Well, we need the serial number of the new one." I'm like, "Here it is." They're like, "Well, we see it's owned by someone else," and I'm like, "Well, I was gifted it, and it like I promise you, it was the cheapest one on Craigslist." And they're like, "Okay, well, we'll open a case, and it might take up to 2 weeks to resolve."
My
Like
the
the Zoom photo when I do this. Can you see that?
They're
like, yeah, well, we think we're going to be able to.
Oh,
just,
your
like,
headshot
call
of
you
you
and
like
say,
looking
"Hey,
off in the
you
distance.
can sign into your that's my
Nintendo
like
account
and re-download Pokemon. LinkedIn and like everything job related.
But, like,
photo. I want to play like Gold and Silver really bad. I know that's like it met all the criteria they told us to do.
You own those on the 3DS?
I had because we think like what really responds with employers now is like, don't take it too seriously. But I have the cartridges. Just like be yourself. So show a relaxed demeanor. Like, all right, maybe I should just play those.
Yeah. Have you actually used?
Still haven't had a single fucking interview or anyone call me about a job. Well, I played the game it came with. Did I tell you there was a game in the 3DS when I got it?
Yeah, it was like
But
some
it doesn't
Sims
matter.
game.
It was a Sims game. Yeah, I played that for like 15 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I told
then
you,
I
I think
played,
it's just it's a
Asphalt
really
because I
bad
found
time.
my copy of Asphalt.
I think it's fucking
nightstand at my
picking
parents'
up.
house. That game's
I think
unplayable.
I'm looking at your copy of Asphalt right now.
But I do have an idea of what I'm going to do
Whose
with my
copy of
future,
Asphalt
but
do
we'll
I
talk
have?
about it after the podcast.
Okay.
Maybe it's my brother's little copy.
there's a
I know
copy
we're
of
kind
Asphalt.
of wrapping things up here.
And
We're
then,
back to the topic of YouTube. You know what? I think my favorite YouTube channel for cars right now. And I watch like a shitload of YouTube. Like I don't even watch TV at all. I watch so much fucking YouTube, man. And YouTube's gotten way worse than it has been probably ever. But my favorite YouTube channel for just cars right now is by far Donut.
That's just the DS Super Mario.
Like, and I know a lot of people are like, they're like just like hipsters and like blah blah blah. Like, you know, their videos are legitimately entertaining. And when I get on YouTube and I that's kind of all I really want. I mean, like the Holy Trinity for me, yeah, the Holy Trinity for me right now is like Donut, regular, and like Project Binky.
Case DS, like the first DS to school.
Those are my faves, and I highly recommend that everybody watches those.
Keychains.
I didn't realize that they started Binky 6.5 years ago.
Isn't that fucking crazy? Oh no, we're dead.
I remember.
Yeah, I love that shit.
What?
My digital monsters, they're dead.
You killed your Digimons?
No, they just pooped and then went to sleep.
All the people at my rich ass high school had a PS.
Just like my dogs.
During like study time.
Oh yeah,
I just like pulled out my DS.
this is such a trip to like be doing this '90s shit again.
And this fucking asshole.
Pretty soon you're gonna be playing Pokemon Blue.
I will. I called Nintendo. They opened a case for me on my 3DS. I called them a couple days ago.
Hell yeah.
They were like, "Can you prove that it was stolen?" And I'm like, "I can send you a picture of my empty fucking hands if you'd like. Like, what do you want? Like, it's gone." And they're like, "Okay, well." I wasn't mean about it. I was just like, "No, I don't have proof it was stolen." And they're like, "Did you file a police report?" And I'm like, "No, there was. I just like it's just gone." They're like, "Well, we have to like categorize that as a loss, but if you lost it, it's kind of the same as getting it stolen, and we'll just like start a case for you." And they wanted the
Okay,
serial.
great.
Yeah, they were like, "Well, we need the serial number of the new one." Like, here it is. Like, well, we see it's owned by someone else, and I'm like, "Well, I was gifted it, and it like I promise you, it was the cheapest one on Craigslist." And they're like, "Okay, well, we'll open a case, and it might take up to 2 weeks to resolve." I was like, "Okay, great." And they're like, "Yeah, but we think we're going to be able to just like call you and say, hey, you can sign into your Nintendo account and re-download Pokemon." But like, you know, I want to play like Gold and Silver really bad. I know that's like,
You own those on the 3DS?
I had red, blue, yellow, and I think I had silver. But I have the cartridges for Soul Silver and Heart Gold, so I can play those whenever I feel like. So maybe I should just play those.
Yeah. Have you actually used that DS at all?
Mm-hmm. I played I played the game it came with. Did I tell you there was a game in the 3DS when I got it?
Yeah, it was like some Sims game.
It was a Sims game. Yeah. I played that for like 15 minutes. And then I played Asphalt because I found my copy of Asphalt in the nightstand at my parents' house. That game's
I think
unplayable.
I'm looking at your copy of Asphalt right now.
Then whose copy of Asphalt do I have? Maybe it's my brother's old copy. Anyway, there's a copy of Asphalt. And then those are the only two games that I have here. So that's how I played it. And I thought about buying you can go on eBay and you can get like the 3DS Super Mario 64. And I loved that game when it first came out. Or that's just the DS Super Mario 64. Yeah. It's not even 3DS. It's one where you can play with as Wario and Luigi. I love that.
I remember that game being a big deal when it came out, and it's just wild to think about because I was like, yeah, it wasn't that long ago, was it? And no, that game was like 20 years ago now.
Dude, I used to take my DS, my silver makeup case DS, like the first DS, to school every day, and I had like little like keychains, those like Japanese keychains that like schoolgirls in Japan put on their phones. Like I had like a Final Fantasy one of those on my.
I had a spot for it. I remember.
Yeah, I love that shit. And I put that on my 3DS, and I would take it to school every day. And I remember the PSP came out, and all the people at my rich ass high school had a PSP. And I like, you know, during like study time, at like I was in a study hall class, I just like pulled out my DS. I told like the supervisor that it was a calculator. And this fucking asshole stands up, like he's just like this pothead kid, this like dirtbag kid stands up and be like, look at that faggot playing his Nintendo DS. He can't even afford a PSP. And like across the classroom. And I'm just like the audacity. How dare you fucking say that? And he like nobody did anything. The supervisor was like, sit down. I'm like, he just fucking called me a faggot. Like in
He
2021.
committed violence against me.
He created violence. He made me into a violence. I'm gonna tweet about this. You're gonna what? I'm like, I don't even know what it is. It hasn't been invented yet, but your kids are gonna love it.
Man, it's wild to think that, yeah, I was playing my DS in middle school, and here I am, an old salty ass man reminiscing about it. Reminiscing about the postcard that I got in middle school that I sent to Dan's first house that is never going to get there.
Whatever. Nintendo Power came back. It's a podcast now.
I don't give a fuck.
I love Nintendo Power too, so I feel you. I'm sorry, man. Well, you know what? I eventually did get a PSP because I went home and I asked my mom like 2 months after that accident. I was like, I really want a PSP. And her exact reaction was, well, it's been a while since we bought you kids anything. So I guess we could go to GameStop after school. I'm like, hell yeah. And then we got there and she asked the clerk at GameStop at Valley View Mall in Dallas, Texas, which is now gone. God, that was the mall. I loved the mall. See a Suncoast Video, Hot Topic, American Eagle. I got my ears pierced at Claire's. Oh,
That is
and
the
I got
most
sent home because I had my
2004
ear
story I've
pierced.
ever heard in my entire life.
That was the what?
That was the most 2004 video or 2004 story I've ever heard in my
It
entire
was
life.
2004. It was like 2004, 2005. My freshman year of high school, 2004. Now the internet knows how old I am. And yeah, we went to the GameStop after school. The GameStop there was like a shitty GameStop. It was like the smallest GameStop. There was like so many better GameStops in Dallas, but we wanted to go to the mall because I knew if I could get a PSP out of my mom, she might buy me some like cargo shorts, an American Eagle, or like a band tee or something. And we went there, and my mom was like, yes, 2 Sony Game Boys, please. And they were like, you mean the PSPs? And she's like, no, my son, we don't do drugs or anything like that. I'm like, Mom, it's called the PlayStation Portable. You're thinking PCP, Angel Dust. Pay attention. And the guy rings her up, and he's like, these don't come with games; they just come with demo discs. They're gonna need a game, and they're gonna need a memory card because it's GameStop. They like just upsell you. I've
Right.
never gone to GameStop, and I think the like total was like $600. My mom was like, what? She's like, it's like a portable game console. And the guy was like, well, I mean, the game console is like $200 and the games are $50 a pop. And then like the memory card you just bought is like, it has like 5 gigabytes on it. And it's the year 2004. So that's $75 each. And we like looked at my mom and we were just like, you said you'd buy this for us. I mean, like, I'll give you my allowance if you want. I've been saving for one. She fucking did it, and then she got a fucking speeding ticket on the way home because she like went like 40 in a school zone. It was a weird day, and we all still remember it fondly. And I figured out how to jailbreak my PSP and put like movies on there because that was unheard of, like a portable movie device. And like we took a road trip to Vegas that summer, and I watched like Lost in Translation and like Jurassic Park on my PSP. Fucking good ass times. Fucking like 2004 shit. Weird.
I remember what I would have done. I remember feeling like I was the coolest fucking kid in the world because I don't remember where we got it, but I found a DC to AC inverter, and I plugged that into my mom's Tahoe, and we had this portable VHS player that had composite input, So I had Animal Crossing running in the back of my mom's Tahoe, and I felt like such hot shit. And then we hit a speed bump, and I got to meet Mr. Rossetti.
Ugh, that makes sense. I never tried that. We had one of those double door Yukons growing up, and my dad on the very
Yeah.
first road trip we ever took bought one of those like tiny TVs with a VCR built in.
Yeah, we grew up in the same car, except I had the poor people version with cloth seats.
We might have had cloth seats too. My parents, when we were growing up, the philosophy of my parents was like, don't buy anything too expensive. The kids will ruin it. My brother ate the back seat of my mom's Volvo.
What?
He ate the trim off the door and the back of the seat.
Your brother's kind of weird, isn't he?
Yeah. And when we traded that car in, the salesman was like, do you guys have a dog? And my mom was like, yep, it's a dog. A dog did this.
That's it. That was
My
it.
son, it was a dog.
It was a dog.
And
It
yeah,
was-
she had a bright red Volvo station wagon. I loved that car. Everyone else in my family hated it. My mom was in 3 wrecks in that car, 3 bad wrecks. And I love that car. I thought it was the coolest looking car. Traded in for the Tahoe. She wasn't in any more wrecks that we know of. But we had that little TV, and the very first tape that my dad was going to put in there, he put in a tape we bought of the Super Mario Brothers Super Show, which was the Mario Brothers TV show. Oh, he loved Mario growing up. I used to run around the backyard dressed as Mario. I loved Mario. My favorite thing in the whole world. And like we were little, like Face was 2 and I was like 4. We were like little kids.
Yeah.
And he puts the goddamn tape in there and the VCR just eats it immediately. Just ate the fucking tape immediately. Like, and it was the very first tape he ever put in the TV. And he like, I remember he like pulled that thing and we were getting ready to like leave for the road trip. And he like pulled the tape out and it's just like streamed, like it's just like ribbons. And he like pulled his pocket knife out and was just like, guys, I'm sorry. And then he just cut the tape off and like pulled it out of the VCR. And then like we were like, he's like, this tape is gone, and he threw it in the trash. We're like, ah, no. He's like, we'll have to buy another one, but like we gotta go. I mean, we're gonna go see your grandparents. You know, so that's it. So you're just gonna have to watch something else. And we watched, it was like the middle of summer, and we watched Tim Allen and the Santa Claus and like some other kids movie. We didn't really, I don't remember much. I do remember watching the Santa Claus though in that road trip, and it was like hot as hell outside.
I sent you over the pictures I took this past November of my parents' Tahoe and my dad's Mustang, a 2002 and a 2005, which they brought new and they still own in the year of our Lord 2021, and they both look like it.
This is a 2002 Tahoe.
Yeah.
They were making this in 2002. Yeah, wow. We had, I'm not going to show these on the pod because this is obviously it has license plates on it. But yeah, we had pretty much we had like the car that was older than that. We had like the 94 Tahoe. But it was essentially the same fucking car.
Yeah.
It was the box one. It was the one that looked like the FBI drove.
Right.
And we did have a 2002 Tahoe, but it wasn't the double doors. It was the normal tailgate.
Gosh.
And that was I can't believe you still have this car, because this car, when we had this generation of Tahoe, was absolutely the worst car my family has ever owned. The little door lock mechanisms on the door, you know, the like switches,
Yeah.
they all came off. It was incredible. We kept having to take it to the dealership, and they were just like, you know, they just slide back in there. My dad's like, yeah, but they're not secure. And the guy like had to like tell us basically, GM doesn't screw these in. Like, and he was basically like, this is how it comes from the factory. You just snap them back in. Sometimes they fall out. General Motors. There's a reason they're going bankrupt in 6 years.
That never happened to ours. I like that car became the family road trip car. I learned to drive in that car. Um, the front speakers went bad, and it's a miserable piece of shit now because my dad is the sort of person who, unless it's his car and unless it's some fancy boomer shit, it doesn't need it. So like the Tahoe, there's a power steering leak, so now it just doesn't have power steering.
Oh, that's
Um,
fucking awful.
yeah, it is miserable to drive. That is the worst car. That is objectively the worst car I've ever driven. Is my parents' Tahoe in 2020.
But that's like they don't use that regularly. That's like if they have to haul something.
More or less, yeah. And I keep telling my mom that they should sell it and just rent a truck when they do that. And she says, "Oh no, Brand, I agree." But my mom is the sort of person who makes her husband like go get her oil changed. So she's
That's how my parents are too. Well,
whatever. Um, we don't need to play armchair psychologist right now, but
fair
so
enough.
so she is not going to just go sell the Tahoe in her name because my dad wants to keep it around, even though my mom hates paying for it every month.
They're still paying for it.
No, like insurance and shit, and registration.
Oh, okay. I mean, in their age bracket, I'm sure insurance is nothing. But like, yeah, I get it. And gas is awful.
Yeah.
But like, I was like, God, please don't be financing that thing still. Like,
No,
it's
no,
been
no, no,
20
no.
years.
They paid it off. That's my dad's thing. He's like, it's paid off. It's so cheap to have it. And it's like, well, no, Dad. Like for the 20 times a year you use it, a truck is so much cheaper. Like renting
Well,
it.
that's like, it's like my mom's car. She has a 2007 Mercedes and it's got 20,000 miles on it. And my dad's just like, why would we sell it? And I'm like, well, the insurance is way above cost. You never drive it. And when you take it to the dealership once a year, the battery's always dead. And it's a $2,000 bill just to get the oil changed because the oil's just like, sitting in there. He had to have the gas fuel pump replaced once and it's already broken again because he filled it up with gas in October and it hasn't had another tank of gas in it since. It's just been sitting in the garage. I mean, it won't go that bad since October, but like, he moved in October of 2019 and they didn't drive it until June of 2020 again. And then it barely worked. And then I drove it from Dallas to Austin once and the air conditioning went out. And then like he took it to the shop and they were like, it needs a new AC core. We can recharge it for now, but eventually it's going to have to be replaced. And that's going to be like $1,700, not including that's just for the part. I mean, like we got to take the entire dashboard out. It's fucking Mercedes. I'm like, sell this fucking car. You don't need two cars. My mother only drives my dad's car when she leaves the house. And my dad only drives his car when he leaves the house. What I'm trying to get them to do is I'm just like, how about you take my Golf and I will pay the insurance on mom's Mercedes.
Yeah, but the thing is, they will never go for that because the Golf is too small because it's not an enormous SUV.
They can't really get in the Golf. My dad got in the Golf once and he's like, this is a great car, but it's like, I just don't understand why you'd want to be so low to the ground. I'm just like, I just don't understand why anybody would want to be so high up. It's like, it's just different philosophy.
I remember I let my dad drive the Type R, and it is way faster than his Mustang, and it is at least as big, like physically. He's like, this is a really small car. I guess it's kind of quick, but this is so small. And I'm not gonna read the riot act to my dad, but
Yeah.
it's not. Like it is like at least as big as his Mustang. It's just my car has actual bolsters, so it feels small.
That reminds me of the last time my friend from Germany was in the US, Charlotte. She drove a Golf in Germany, and I still have my Mustang. And we were driving back from Austin to go back to Dallas. She came down to San Marcos. That's right. We were driving back to Dallas and for a wedding. That's why she was in the US. And she was driving the Mustang and she was like, this is a very small car. And I'm like, it's pretty big. And she's like, well, it's not as big as my Golf. And I'm like, it's bigger than your Golf. This car is bigger than your Golf. And she looked at me and she said, that is impossible. Where would the extra people sit in this car? On the hood? It's impossible. My car is bigger. I'm just like, oh, okay. That's Germany versus America because you can fit more people in your Golf. Your car is bigger. And like, because my car is, she's like, it's 2-seater. I'm like, it has a back seat. She's like, no one is going to go back there. No one will ever go back there. I'm like, yeah, tell me about it. Let's see what this fucking thing is. What the hell is this? Oh, is this your maintenance records on the CTR?
Civic or CRX.
CRX. Oh, wow. Mileage. What the fuck? Wait,
What?
your CRX has 208,000 miles?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Maybe I
Yeah.
did know that.
You did know that.
I thought it was like something like insanely low. That's why you got such a good price on it. That doesn't make any sense.
No.
Yeah, I guess I never 208,000. I guess this is a big deal for a Honda.
You drove it.
It didn't feel like it had 208,000 miles, but it's a Honda, so
It
it
had
felt like a
200,000
car from 1989.
It had 200,000 miles of a lady driving it to work and back and parking it in the garage. So it was a lot. It's a lot of very well kept miles.
Yeah. Well,
But the reason I linked that to you was because the thing you said about your mom's Mercedes AC got to me, because the AC is like the thing I'm struggling most with in the CRX. Everything else, I'm like, yeah, fuck it, who cares? But the AC is so hard because if I rip out the AC, I can never put it back.
well, I mean,
Because
you're gonna need that soon, or you're just not gonna
no,
drive it in the summer.
or just put the windows down and be fine.
No, it's Brandon. It's 110 degrees outside in like
It's my
August.
third car. It'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but it's like, are you gonna just like go get the S2000 and then stick that thing in storage? Because I
It'll be
know
fine.
once it's dry out there, it's like you're gonna want the S2K back.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But um but yeah, anyway, like if I rip the AC out, I can never get it back because this stuff doesn't exist. But fixing it is going to be an enormous pain in the ass, and having the AC in the engine bay fucking sucks because the car was obviously designed without AC in mind, but like with the ability to have AC, and there's no room to work on anything with all the AC parts in the way.
I have no idea what you should. I mean, my only advice is figure out a way to fix the AC as soon as possible.
The way to fix the AC is to replace all of it.
Then maybe this should be the one time you take it to like a guy.
Well, so the thing about AC is it fucking sucks diagnosing it, because it's a gas, and the only good way to see where, because I fixed most of the AC on my old green hatchback,
Right.
and I DIY'd it. And the hardest part is if the lines are corroded together, which they almost certainly are in this car. And this car has an R12 system that was converted to R134, which is a whole other thing. So the thing to
Wait,
do to fix this AC system is to just rip all of it out and replace all of it.
you said the AC system was converted.
Yeah.
Who did that conversion? Like, was it halfway
Some
through
guy
the
in
ocean?
2004. There is a sticker on the shock tower that is too faded to read.
So the AC broke. She took it somewhere,
No.
and this,
The AC. Okay, yeah, the AC broke, and in 2004, R12 was legal now, so they fixed it and filled it up with R134.
okay.
And now it's broken again because, of course, it is.
Well, it's been 16 years. ACs only last an average of like I think 10 years before they just. This is a GM product. I mean, if it's GM product, it comes broken.
Yeah, it's the O-rings that go bad, and like you can change out the O-rings, but that sucks. And the problem with doing that is the aluminum starts to corrode together, so it becomes hard to break the lines free. So the easiest thing to do usually is just cut the lines.
Hmm.
Like I can do the AC. It's just the hard part is taking things apart without breaking things. And AC stuff is just heinously expensive.
Oh yeah. I mean, even just getting those like recharge kits or like at AutoZone are super fucking expensive.
Never buy those. Never buy those. Those are a waste of money.
God, I've wasted so much money. I watched my friend Sam in high school dump, like he would go get one a week and put it in his Z28 Camaro. Like, and he was like, it's just, it works for like 5 days. I don't know what the wrong problem is, but his AC was like leaking. And his dad was actually an air conditioning engineer for like buildings here in Oklahoma City. And he just like kind of looked at it and he was just like, yeah, it's all broken. I mean, it's all just like falling apart. And he got that fucking replaced and like 2 weeks later totaled that car. He went through 4 transmissions on that fucking thing because he took the little GM limiter chip out of it. It was an automatic Z28 Camaro. It was 95 automatic Z28 Camaro. He took the little limiter chip out from under the hood and he fucking melted his transmissions 4 times. Ugh. High school.
And you listened to him about what computer you should buy.
Yeah. Did I tell you he apologized for that? He was like, I am so sorry I told you about that computer. That was a huge mistake. And I'm like, it doesn't really matter. I'm like, honestly, with like as little like for what I do with this laptop, it's fine. And like, you know, when I get my stimulus money, I could technically buy a Mac Mini.
Stimmy.
Stimmy. You want to wrap this podcast up and just hang out?
Let's do it.
All right. We're glad to be back. We're glad to be gamers, and we're glad to rise up. Praise be. Godspeed, you beautiful bastards.